Hey everybody, Brent Florica back again. Welcome back to Sketchbook B. Today I am really excited to bring this drawing process to you, or this coloring process I should say. This wasn't originally going to be a video on the channel, but basically I was challenged by an art project that my sister-in-law was working on for school, and one of the criteria was to take a character from, pop culture today and transition it into a different genre, or a different time period rather. And so one of the suggestions was to do a character like Batman in the time of ancient Rome. And I thought, wow, that would be super cool. So I wanted to take my best shot at it. And I did a sketch relatively quickly, actually, in my sketchbook. The ideas just kind of came together fairly quick in my head. And I actually, the more I was sketching, the more I was just really enjoying it. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should try and finish this out in full color and try and use the digital method for that, get some practice in on that. And just, I was really, really happy with how the whole thing turned out. So I wanted to put that up there on the channel for all of you to see. So as you can see here, I started with my flats, and I didn't bother going through all of that because, it's just basically blocking out areas of color as a base point, and it can be kind of tedious and boring. So you're welcome. But after that, then, you get into the more fun stuff where you start to, develop your shapes through shadows and highlights and stuff. And so I did actually 3 different layers of shadow for this one, because at first I wasn't entirely sure how dark I was going to go with it. I kind of pictured him kind of Roman gladiator in an arena daytime scenario. But as you're going to see later on, I deviated from that because kind of Batman's whole shtick is that he works in the shadows. He's the Dark Knight, right? So I kind of adjusted my course later on, and I'm super glad that I did. I took some risks that I don't normally take, and I'm so happy with the results. But for the time being, you can see I'm just laying in some different layers of shadow, and not actually full shadow at this point. This is more just variations in color. In each of the layers, I have a flat color that's kind of like the mid-tone of each area, but then I go in and add a couple of layers that are a little bit darker, and I don't just take a darker version of the flat color. I sometimes tweak it a little bit. If it's, a pinkish, I kind of go into more of an orange or more of a yellow, depending. And just it gives it a little bit more richness. And I was testing out a little bit the blender tool. I use that a lot on this one, just as an experiment, to kind of blur the lines a bit between the different areas of color, where you can see the tone slightly changes. And I just wanted to kind of make it a bit more smooth in places, more smooth of a transition between these different colors. And I thought it was okay, but I feel like there's probably better ways to achieve that blending of colors. So I need to do some more research and kind of some more messing around to kind of figure out what that would be as far as Sketchbook Pro is concerned, what tool that would require. But I thought the blender tool worked actually pretty good for the purposes of this drawing, especially considering the route I ended up taking, where I used a lot of heavy shadow. But at this point, I'm just working through the piece and adding in different layers of color variation through each section one by one. And I tried to take my time with it and just make sure I was hitting every part of it. And as I was going through this, I thought, I'm reasonably happy with how this is going, but it still was kind of lacking something. And I thought, as much as I'm enjoying, just kind of as it's looking right now, the character by himself, white background, it really pops against the background. I thought, that was cool and everything, but one of the things I always really thought was cool about the character of Batman, and any sort of ground level character that spends a lot of time, monitoring the streets at night and that kind of thing, I find that these really good artists always find a way to use the shadow and the darkness around the character to make them sort of kind of punch out of that darkness. And I wanted to really lean into that for this one, because it's not something I normally do. It was a risk that I wasn't sure I wanted to take, because I thought, you do all of this coloring work and shading and stuff, and then just cover it all up with shadow, and it's kind of like, oh, but at the same time, I thought, you know what? This really does suit the character, and if I really want to transition Batman into this style, I should incorporate some of that shadow that he's so well known for. So that's when I really started to push my shading. I've moved now into the actual shadow layer. I used a multiply layer using a purple tone, and I just brought the opacity way down so that it doesn't look super purple, but it still adds a little bit of kind of warmth to these shadow areas. And I went in with 3 separate layers, so each one kind of added a little bit more saturation over top of the previous one. And that way I could maintain a bit more control. I didn't have to go super heavy, but once I added the black background, I realized, wow, yeah, that made a huge difference, and that really confirmed for me, okay, I got to lean into these shadows and really try and push myself to do something a little out of my comfort zone. So I went in a little bit heavier, and at first I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm liking how this is going. It's, I was fairly happy with it, but I thought, nope, it's not far enough. Got to go back in, do that 3rd layer, and at that point, it was basically just another inking pass. I just went in with solid black and started to, in essence, just cover parts of the drawing that I thought would be concealed by shadow. And, so that meant just being really aggressive and coloring over the lines, hiding things that would be concealed by this really dramatic black shadow, and it really makes the light source that much more dramatic as well. So that it was a ton of fun for me. I was really happy with the result. I hope you enjoy it too. Please let me know in the comments what you think of it. I really appreciate the feedback. Thanks so much for sticking with it to the end, and hopefully we'll see you again on the next video. Thanks so much for joining me at Sketchbook Bee. Please leave a like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. All of that is so much appreciated. And as I inch toward 50 subscribers, I just encourage anyone who hasn't subscribed to the channel, if you do enjoy the content that I put up, consider hitting that red subscribe button and help the channel grow. It means the world to me. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the piece today. It was a lot of fun for me to do. I have a lot of exciting stuff, at least for me, that's coming down the line. So I hope that you're looking forward to that, and I'll see you next time.